Go support Kenchi618 on fanfiction.net. Chapter 11, The Sordid Perils of Everyday Existence. Naruto, Yaruchi, and Haiden walked around the strange forest aimlessly. Hey, it wasn't like they knew where they were, so how the hell would they know where they were going? Naruto and Yaruchi were being led around by Haiden, the only one who had been there. However, that was a case of the blind leading the blind for the most part. Haiden walked ahead of the other two, pointing out particular places that he could remember fighting at. Oh, and over there is where I cut that huge motherfucker's head off. He went down like a paraplegic ragdoll. It was fucking great, you both should have seen it. He pointed to another spot up ahead. Oh, and that's where Dashta. Naruto and Yaruchi had tuned him out over an hour ago as they wandered the strange forest. Seriously? I didn't know the Gedu was this big on the inside. There really needed to be some kind of tablet or scroll to be passed down to people with Rinnegan so they would know this shit. I've been winging it for the last 2,000 years. Way to drop the ball, original Rikudo Sennin. For some reason, the hollows were giving them a very wide berth. Yaruchi expected them to have been attacked several times already. She thought they would have been assaulted right out of the gate by the dumber Jillian class Minos that she saw when she fell down through the Gedu. I'm amazed we haven't had to fight yet. But are you sure that the Gedu isn't a portal to somewhere? I mean, you don't know the origin of these techniques you use, you said that yourself, and you said that only you and 2 other people have ever used them. I'm betting that they didn't exactly share any secrets with you. Nope. Naruto said, confirming Yaruchi's theory. I pretty much had to reverse engineer everything by myself with some help from a tablet. I'm just lucky that I had 2,000 years to do it, and that Shinra Tensei was pretty much instinctual and a great base for learning all of the gravity moves after a while. Yaruchi looked around thoughtfully, stopping to get a good take of their surroundings. Naruto stopped and looked thoughtfully at Yaruchi's backside. I can't believe this place though. You can send souls here? The place reeks of the Ryuryoku of nothing but hollows. Good scenery though. Naruto said, looking at Yaruchi's butt and ignoring most of what she said. Damn good. What's so good about it? Yaruchi said laughingly, it's nothing but trees made of quartz. It's completely bleak scenery, totally depressing. Haiden yelled back at them from rather far ahead, hey, what the fuck are you two doing that far back there? Get your lazy asses in gear and get moving already. I don't have all of eternity, you know. Yes you do. Naruto yelled back, averting his attention from Yaruchi's rear. I do too. The only person here with any kind of time concerns here is Yaruchi-chan, and she doesn't care too much. Just wait, you impatient idiot. Naruto found his hand grabbed firmly by Yaruchi and dragged forward roughly. Damn, grip woman. Yaruchi shook her head. Let's go, Naruto. You can annoy your pet hollow later and try to kill each other when we get out of here. Right now I want to know what this place is all about. She kept looking around and seeing the outlines of so many weaker hollows and even Jillian's in the distance. So many hollows. I can't believe that this many exist anywhere outside of Hueco Mundo. Her eyes then widened as she turned and looked at Naruto, whose hand she still had a hold of. Did he just dash? No, there's no way that it could be that easy for him. She noticed Naruto's mouth move but didn't really hear what he said. Huh? I said you've got soft hands, Yaruchi-chan. Naruto said offhandedly with a smile on his face as they caught up to Haiden. Despite the fact that this place might end up being a death trap, this is actually kind of nice. You and me bonding like this. Haiden scoffed as the skull-faced hollow continued leading them along, and yeah, because it's not like I'm here or anything, right? I'm pretty much ignoring you until you do something useful in exchange for focusing on Yaruchi-chan. Naruto told his fellow shinobi point blank, if it were just you and me we'd be doing some male bonding by way of kicking some hostile hollow ass, but with the lovely female Shinigami here my plans have changed. Haiden whined like a child. Fuck? Well, can I go off and look for something cool to do if all you're going to do with the chick is try to get with her out here? He didn't even wait for an answer. I don't really give a flying fuck about your answer either way. I came here to kill some monsters and I'm going to kill some monsters, so later. He said before running off elsewhere, prompting the hollows in the distance to step forward and confront him. Naruto yelled after his hollow comrade, hey Haiden, get back here. He yelled as he saw Haiden's bladed arm and hand cut through the offending enemy hollows effortlessly. Damn it, that's the last time I'm bringing you in here for a long time. Naruto was about to chase after to go get him when he felt Yaruchi keep a firm hold on him to keep him from leaving. Turning to look at her, he saw her shaking her head. Don't worry about going after him. She said calmly, he stayed in here on his own for 2 days last time. This time won't be for nearly as long, and it's not like we won't be able to find him later. just follow the sounds of battle. An explosion rang out in the distance where Haiden went off to, like that. Naruto's eye twitched. He'd better not die, after all the trouble of dragging him out of that cursed spot he was in. Yuruchi shook her head and motioned for Naruto to follow her. Come on. I have a hunch about this place that I need to have confirmed or not. And I want to hear the story I've heard you two talking about. The one where you apparently saved the world. She said with a smile, you big hero. Naruto smiled wryly and spoke with a tone that for him was rather reserved. Trust me, Yuruchi-chan. I say all of that stuff about a hero's complex, but there's a good reason for that. Because when it really mattered and the world needed me, I wasn't a hero. He shook his head as his face fell. My side lost in the end. Yuruchi blinked as she let go of his hand and he kept walking forward. But you're still here, and you said dashta. I never lied. He said, stopping in his tracks, I'm the strongest mortal man period. There's no one left alive from my era, not even any remnants of the shinobi system I grew up with. And why do you think that is? Because we were beaten. He looked around before motioning to her to take a seat on the ground by one of the trees as he made a few kage bunshin to watch the surrounding area for them. I'm going to tell you a story of what happened during the greatest war of my time and how it ended. Yuruchi moved close to him and sat right beside him against a tree. A war? You've never told me about this. I've never told anyone about it since people stopped talking and forgot about it. Naruto admitted, looking up in the air. 2,000 years is a long time to be telling the same old story that history books can't prove or don't even cover. It basically goes like this: a madman wanted control of the world and conspired to capture the 9 most powerful creatures in existence, one of which had been contained inside of me. Well, he wound up capturing me because of my own weakness and stupidity, and he got them all, and I died. You died? She couldn't believe that he had been killed at some point in time. He was still there, wasn't he? His body wasn't a Jigai. Did they even have Jigai in the Soul Society 2,000 years ago? She felt like a little girl listening to an old man as all she wanted him to do was keep talking. But how are you here? How did Dash? Naruto held his hand up, getting her to stop asking questions that he planned on answering. Because I got a second chance. Someone didn't take my death lying down and she had the ability to fix it. He frowned deeply thinking about it, and I don't think I ever fully forgave myself for letting it happen. Flashback, over 2,000 years ago. Inside of a dingy cave, Naruto sat up abruptly with a gasp. The blonde looked around rapidly. Where is he? I know he caught me, that wasn't a dream. He was pulling the Kyuubi out of me. I've never felt pain like that in my entire life. He tried to get up only to find that his lower body wouldn't respond. As he looked down, even in the near-complete darkness, he could see faint signs of color draped across his lap, pink in particular. Naruto simply sat there for the longest time, just looking at the weight that had been placed over top of him, not saying or thinking anything. He wasn't that out of it that he couldn't feel a certain presence of familiarity, nor could he ignore the fact that a scent of someone he knew very well was hovering around him. Sakura-chan? It wasn't actually a question because he knew she wouldn't respond, and as he heard the echo inside of the cave he wished he hadn't said anything. The reverberation of his voice seemed to be mocking him. Why me? Naruto asked her non-responsive body as he moved to pick her up off of him and carry her outside. Why would you do this for me? What about Sasuke? Wasn't that your dream? You were going to get him back and you didn't need me for that. Why did you use that old lady Chiyo's jutsu? As he reached the light of the outside of the cave his eyes were full of tears, as it did happen to be Sakura that had brought him back, and she had a serene smile on her face in death. Naruto, however, didn't see anything worth smiling about as he looked out over the wasteland that he could oversee from his place. The dead bodies were abundant from both sides. The allied force of shinobi and the White Zetsu army that had been raised to combat them. It was quite evident that the allied shinobi force waged a great battle to keep Uchiha Madara from taking the Kyuubi from him, and it looked like none of them walked away from it. Why is it me? Everyone's always. He looked up and yelled, it's always me. Why the fuck is it always me? Mom, Dad, Sandame Gigi, Gaara, Asuma-sensei, Ero Sennin, Nagato Nii, Konan, Yamato Taishu, Karabi-san, hell, the entire village at one point, and now Sakura-chan too, and everyone else. Why am I always the one that gets to walk away, huh? What makes me so goddamn special? Tell me what it is. I want to know why all these people always have to die over me and I can always just keep going. What do you want from me? His newly resuscitated body gave out and he fell to his knees, cradling Sakura's body against him as the sound of nothing more than him crying out in anguish could be heard for miles and miles on the vacant battlefield. If Naruto had noticed at that time, his eyes were no longer blue, but they had taken on a purple ripple pattern. However, even if he had known about it, he wouldn't have cared less at that moment in time. End flashback. As he stopped talking, Uruchi found that she couldn't look away from Naruto's face as his eyes seemed to ice over while he told her of his past. So, that was how it ended? That was the end of your era? Naruto nodded. Madara's army could just keep rebuilding itself because they were basically grown humans, spawned by the cells of one of the strongest men that had ever lived. He marched all over the continent and took control in 2 years. There was no such thing as a hidden village anymore. If you didn't work for Madara, you didn't work for anyone, because you were already dead. All the while he was working to fuse the 9 beasts of power into one being that put them all to shame, and eventually he found out how to do it. And then what? Uruchi asked him, not getting a response, which confused her. He told her everything else so freely, and he was just going to stop when his story was getting good? Let it be known that the thing about Uruchi was that she had a few traits to go along with her occasional cat-like appearance. Curiosity was one of those traits. You're just going to stop there? I'd really like to know. Naruto pulled up the shirt under his sage coat and revealed his torso, which showed his wickedly elaborate seal that housed the creature he had told Yamamoto about at the captain's meeting. 2 years later I decided to give it one more try. I was going to win or die trying, but at least I could say I made an attempt. I had 2 years of training to learn what I needed to use the powers granted to me by the Rinnegan, and I had my own small little force. I was a summoner of toads, and for me and the future of this world they all came to buy me time. He then shook his head, but I lost again. Flashback, 2 years after the fall of the allied shinobi force. I was a failure after all. Naruto thought to himself as he lay motionless on the floor, a bloody mess. I'm no hero, I'm no great ninja, and I'm sure no child of prophecy. Naruto had infiltrated the grounds that Madara had prepared for the resurrection of the Jubi, while the small force he had managed to pull together to assist him kept the White Zetsu army busy elsewhere. He made it all the way to the man himself when right before he could attack him he found himself in combat with Uchiha Sasuke, who saw Naruto as the last remnant of the village and system that took his entire family away. Naruto fought well, but the two combined Uchiha with their powerful eternal Manjikyu Sharingan were simply too much for him to take, even with his Rinnegan, as they had more time to work with their power and fought together against him. In a scene reminiscent of his youth, Sasuke shoved a Chidori right through Naruto's chest and left him for dead. Everyone believed in me, they told me I could do it. I made them all believe that I could fix everything. I let them all down. The pain of his wounds didn't matter to him, he didn't care about living or dying here. He simply had to prove the people that had believed in him and sacrificed their lives for him to have the opportunity to end it all right. He was the one that could stop it all. Meanwhile, not too far away, Madara had activated the humanoid-looking statue that held all of the 9 demons taken from around the ninja world by way of using Sasuke as his medium to synchronize with the statue. That's it, Sasuke. Just a few more moments and the entire world will know of the extent of your hatred. The body of the younger Uchiha began to glow as chakra of all colors began emerging from the statue and engulfing his body. Yes, Sasuke, you will live on as the Jubi. Although, unfortunately for you, that will have to be an existence that you carry out inside of me. Naruto had made it to his feet in time to begin to see this take place. No, this can't be over. He started limping over towards Madara and Sasuke, who slowly began to become overwhelmed by the chakra that was beginning to form in the shape of the Jubi. It's not over until my heart stops. Uzumaki Naruto. Madara said calmly, you just don't know how to die, do you? I've killed you twice already and you just won't stay down. Maybe you're the real immortal out of all of us? He said sardonically to the gravely injured blonde, well, you can bear witness as I become greater than the Rikudo Sannin. I will bring peace to this world, because now it's mine. You're no Rikudo Sannin. Naruto roared at him, nothing here belongs to you. Not the eyes you stole for your eternal Manjikyu Sharingan, not Sasuke's body or will, not Nagato's Rinnegan, not the 9 bijou that you stole, not even the statue that you keep them in. Nothing here is yours. You're not God. You're just a lunatic. Naruto's Rinnegan was out as tears poured down his eyes. How can someone like you take all of this power? You don't know anything about pain, you've never felt sorrow over anything you've lost. And you don't know anything about sacrifice, so how could you become any kind of Jinchuriki? All you have is hatred? And hatred is strong enough to have the world. Madara said as the Jubi form began bubbling and trying to form corporeal mass, the world can be controlled by hatred, it can bring peace. Naruto grit his teeth, You never understood a thing, and if your clan felt this way I can understand why the original Rikudo Sannin never passed anything down to your founder. But that's okay, because I won't quit. Even if it takes me the end of time I'll do my best. One day I'll try to ensure that everyone in the world understands each other. I'll bring peace myself. Naruto began making hand seals, Fuinjutsu, Genryu Q Fujin, sealing technique, illusionary dragon 9 consuming seals. Madara began cackling wildly. I've already used that jutsu, you fool. How do you think all of this is already happening? The Jubi is mine. His laughing stopped abruptly when all of the power of the Jubi passed through his body and on back to Naruto. He made himself intangible, but as the seconds dragged on and turned into minutes he shouted at Naruto in terror, "What happened? What did you do, Uzumaki? What the hell did you do to my plan?" Naruto's body glowed bright yellow as it appeared flames were flickering off of him. "What do you think I've been doing for 2 years, Madara team? I've been working as hard as I could to learn everything I could about the Rikudo Sannin, and then I found something in Konoha's ruins, more specifically Naka Shrine." Madara knew of the shrine of course from his time in Konoha. Those with Sharingan could decipher some of what a large tablet full of writing held, those with Manjikyu Sharingan could read much more. A large bulk of his knowledge for his plan came from that tablet. "The Rinnegan, let me read the entire thing." Naruto shouted in a pained manner as he could feel his body nearly ripping apart from the power flowing into him. Only those with a true Rinnegan can truly use the Gedo Mizu, demonic statue of the outer path. Anything a pretender like you can do is overridden by a true sage with Rinnegan. Madara had never figured how Naruto had obtained his Rinnegan that he used during their battle, and he never cared since it still didn't lead to Naruto defeating him. "How did you dash?" Naruto cut him off and answered him, "Because of Itachi, and because of Nagato and II, and because you fucked up and let me see what the world could really be if you were in control. I won't let everyone feel that kind of pain the way everyone you manipulated and killed did. I'm the new Rikudo Sannin, you son of a bitch, and I'm the only one who can do it, so just die." Madara had the ability to avoid damage and become intangible, but that only lasted for 5 minutes at a time. Naruto had been pulling in the power of the Jubi for that entire length of time and his intangibility had run out. There were still days of this that needed to happen before it was complete, and anyone in the vicinity was simply out of luck, as Madara figured out when his body began to turn to ash. "No. You damned brat, how could you win? I'm immortal. I had every advantage, I had everything planned out. All of these years. This world is mine. How could have kept disrupting my plans, even from the day of your birth?" Naruto only had one thing to say before his enemy's body turned to ash completely and drifted away: "I'm unpredictable." With Madara's body gone, Naruto could now focus on the mind-splitting pain that came with him sealing the strongest creature in the world inside of his body. Anything within a 10-kilometer radius of the site was eradicated by the outpouring of power. Naruto screamed for the next 3 days until the Jubi was fully within his body and the conflict had truly come to a close. End flashback. "Wow," Yuruchi said, looking at Naruto in a new light. He really was the man that saved the world if all of this was true, and he had yet to lie to her about anything to date. But wait. What happened to that Sasuke guy? Naruto looked at Yuruchi and sighed. Sasuke became the Jubi. Madara used his body as a medium to station the power of the monster. And now Sasuke is the monster, and he's inside of me, and I have to say, it really, really sucks. Yuruchi moved closer to get a good look at his seal as she poked his torso. "Why?" "Because he's still alive, he's just sleeping most of the time, but he wakes up every 1,000 years. Naruto glowered at the seal on his belly, and he really doesn't like the fact that he's trapped inside of me. Every time he wakes up, I have to fight him or else he'll break out and the Jubi will be free again. I've done it twice, and I only won off of sheer dumb luck and tactics. I have 1,000 years to get a new plan ready each time. I can't overpower the Jubi flat out. And if you ever wound up losing?" Yuruchi wondered. The way he spoke of the creature, she could assure herself that whatever would happen wouldn't be for the better. The world is over. You Shinigami would have to find a way to intervene somehow. The Jubi would run rampant and you can't kill it. It's not a living creature with a soul, it's chakra, it's energy that has taken a physical form. Naruto said, forming a Rasengan in his hand as a form of demonstration. "No one on the planet would be able to stop it or capture it. Until I master my Yin chakra there isn't anything I can do." He then stood up, "But there are more problems than just that, and I just beat him not too long ago. I have another 1,000 years to work with here. I'll deal with this Aizen guy first." He reached down and offered Yoruchi a hand to help her off of the ground. The dark-skinned Shinigami smiled and accepted his help. How did the Shinigami not try to step in and assist you back then? This seems like a major deal, something that the Soul Society couldn't ignore. She said thoughtfully before thinking about the time frame, but then 2,000 years ago is when the Academy for Shinigami was formed. Around that time the Godii 13 were probably in complete disarray, setting things up for it, and with the influx of souls from the war you spoke up the forces were probably overwhelmed with the amount of death. Hollows probably ran rampant at that time too. She sighed at not being able to offer any input about the era in the Soul Society to him. I don't know. It was way before my time anyway. Naruto dusted his pants and the back of his sage coat off. Yeah well, it's my problem. I've been dealing with it for as long as I can remember and I'll keep dealing with it. I'm the one who survived and it's my responsibility. Don't worry about it, Yoruchi-chan. I won't. Not as long as you're the one holding it back. She said confidently before giving him a rather long kiss. After a moment as she drew away from his slowly a pair of blue eyes looked at her in confusion, prompting her to answer his unasked question with her next comment. Thank you for telling me that story. I'm not going to sit here and imagine something like that happening to everyone I knew. Naruto rubbed the back of his head sheepishly. It's okay. Telling the story every now and then. It kind of helps me keep them alive, inside, you know? I don't want to forget about them. They all made me who I am. He looked around the odd forest. Should we be looking for Haiden right now? Shaking her head, Yoruchi continued walking and exploring the forest. Nah, if I'm right about this place then he's probably having the time of his life in here. XXX. With Haiden. I'm having the best time ever. Haiden shouted as he cut his way through another trio of lowly hollows that tried to attack him. It's like these dumb fucks don't get the point yet, the only chance they have is to run away from me. He turned around to see a group of hollows doing just that. Now these are the smart one. Too fucking bad for you those suckers. Zero, hollow flash. Haiden opened his mouth and fired off a red blast of energy that hit the weak hollows in the distance and eradicated them. As the remains of the hollows vanished from his sight, Haiden sighed deeply in relief of sorts. I love the sounds of slaughter in the morning. His skull-like visage blinked as he scratched his silver hair. Is it even morning? Bah, I don't care, I love the sounds of slaughter anytime. He said before cackling to himself. Come on, who's next? Anyone? Uzumaki Brat and the sexy lady with him aren't coming back anytime soon. I've got all the time in the world to keep ripping you fools apart. What is a Vasto Lord doing down here? Haiden whipped his head around as his eyes shone in glee. A trio of generic Ajuchas-class hollows that were larger than him stood in front of him flanked by a dozen Jillian-class Minos, killing the whole fucking lot of you. What does it look like I'm doing? Haiden said without much fear. One of the hollows, probably the leader of the lot of them, stepped forward. A Vasto Lord shouldn't be down in the forest of Minos, someone like you should be above the surface with the other powerful hollows. And why aren't you an Arrancar like all of the other most powerful hollows up above in Hueco Mundo? Haiden sighed. Why did his prey always have to try and prolong their lives by telling him things that might have been useful, but at the moment he couldn't have cared any less about? Look. I don't give damn about where I am, and I don't have a fucking clue about what Hueco Mundo is. All I know is that I see idiots that need to be slaughtered. Don't be foolish. Another of the Ajuchas said to Haiden, there's no reason for you to want to kill us, you're stronger than us. We would never want to attack someone like you dashed. He was cut off when in the blink of an eye Haiden cut his head in half, immediately killing the hollow. Haiden licked the blood from the blades on the back of his wrist and grinned in an evil fashion. He started walking towards the group of hollows that started stepping back away from him. I don't care whether you want to fight me or not. Do you really think that the prey has a choice of when the predator chooses to come after them? No, of course not. Prey doesn't get to choose when they have fight for their lives. All you can do is be ready. Those that are, you will live, those of you that aren't, you'll simply die just like everyone else. Weak fools like you don't get to fucking tell me you're not going to fight, because I don't need any of you to fight, I just need you to die. The left blade extending from Haiden's fist penetrated the chest of a second Ajuchas as he used his scythe-bladed right arm to cleave his head off. Uzumaki Brat said I can't kill humans otherwise he would stop me himself and I know that he could, but for the rest of you I wasn't given any kind of instruction. Now let me savor your suffering and despair. He said as he attacked the mass of Jillian in the background. XXX. Not too far away a trio of women looked over Haiden's systematic decimation of the hollows unfortunate enough to come near him. One of the women watched Hayden's attack, shaking her head at his barbaric combat style. Look at that lunatic. She had 2 different colored eyes, one blue while the other was amber with a red outline. She had black jaw-length hair and a strange narrow white piece atop her head with a horn in the middle. She wore a white hakama, a white jacket with shoulder-length sleeves and a V-neck, as well as white gloves on her hands. She had thick cuffs around her wrists and at the end of her jacket sleeves. If we go down there right now he'll probably try to kill us too. You're not scared, are you, Apache? One of the other 2 women said laughingly. She was dark-skinned and had long, thick, wavy brown hair and green eyes. On the top of her head sat a 3-section crown and around her neck was a thick necklace. She wore a white skirt and white corset top that showed a hollow hole above her navel and had white bands around her wrists and biceps. You afraid that guy'll tear you apart if you go down there? Like hell I am. The first woman, identified as Apache, snapped at her comrade. This guy can't beat us like this. We're Arankar, he's still just a normal hollow, you know we can beat him, Mila Rose. The third woman had lavender eyes, long olive green hair, and 3 pink dots below her right eye. She wore a single white dress that was very long and had sleeves that went well past her arms, and in her hair seemed to be a 3-piece hair clip. The way you 2 argue, it makes you seem like you both of you are afraid of him. She said, it makes you both seem very weak. It is understandable though, his Ryatsu is very high. Shut up, Sung-sun. Both of the other girls yelled at her as Apache tried to verbally lay into her. If you're so much better than us, I want to see you go down there. Can't you feel that? He's a Vasto Lord like Haribel-sama was before she became an Arankar. Sung-sun moved her sleeved arm in front of her mouth as she laughed at Apache, and that sounds like a wonderful idea. She said sarcastically, because fighting a Vasto Lord anytime for any reason is a great idea. I think I'll stay up here, thank you very much. That sounds like a good idea. A masculine voice said from behind her, causing her to turn and jump away, prepared to fight alongside her allies. Hayden stood with his arms crossed as he looked at them amusedly. So you've all got a little bite to you, and you're all better to look at than the hollows I've been taking out thus far. I like that. Hayden's body was covered in the blood of hollows he had killed thus far. Apache pointed at him. How did you even find us? I fucking know when people are watching me. Hayden said sardonically, it's not like I'm unfamiliar with people trying to kill me. It's just that I have to start paying attention now because it can actually happen. Now then dash dot. He brandished his scythe-like blades on the side of his right wrist. Who's first, or are we supposed to do this all at once? Wait. Sung-sun said, preventing Hayden from immediately attacking them. Do you want to be stronger? Nope. Hayden said dismissively, I don't really care. As long as I can kill, and Uzumaki has made sure that I can, I'm okay. Jashin-sama will be pleased. Speaking of which, he was about to lunge to attack again when Mila Rose spoke distastefully. Jashin-sama? Ugh? She said, as if she had something disgusting in her mouth. You call him that? I swear, that arrogant jerk has enough names already. A god king of Hueco Mundo. That stopped Hayden in his tracks. Wait, are you seriously telling me that you all know of Jashin-sama? Baragon is his actual name. Sung-sun said as she started thinking rapidly. He seems hesitant to kill us now that he knows we are aware of Baragon. Maybe if we work this right we can get Aizen-sama a new ally. This is why we came down here anyway, to find the hollow that the numeros had heard rumors on. She took a chance and moved towards Hayden. If you would like, we could introduce you to him possibly, and someone else that would like to meet you. Hayden looked at Sung-sun and the 2 other women. Uzumaki doesn't need me. He can always pull me back out of here whenever he needs me like he did the last time. Who knows how long he plans on staying here anyway. Hayden smirked at the 3 women. Lead the way. And tell me about this place while you're at it, and more about hollows. I'm rather new at all of this. XXX. With Naruto and Yaruchi. Otama Rasengan, Great Ball Spiraling Sphere. A Jillian's mask shattered as the massive hollow fell to the ground dead. Naruto and a clone darted between 2 trees on their way back down to the ground next to Yaruchi. I thought there would be more of these guys in here. I guess Hayden's attracting them all to him. He said as the clone dispelled. You keep such a useful psychopath with you. Yaruchi said to the blonde who was shaking out the arm he used to smash the Jillian's mask with the Otama Rasengan. I think I actually do know where we are. Are you aware of the layout of the planes? Naruto shook his head. The human world and the Soul Society are separated by Hueco Mundo, although only hollows can really access or leave this dimension, until you of course. Naruto looked over at her in surprise. So you're saying that this is the place you told me the Aizen guy went to? A smirk couldn't help but reach his face as he started laughing. I think I've seen all I need to. From here I can start exploring the place and coming up with ways to get the drop on him. If all he has are those 3 guys he left the Siriidii with, I can organize a strike pretty quickly once this gets to Yamamoto Gigi. I don't have my team yet. Yuruchi shook her head. I know what he'll do, and a full strike won't be it. Hueco Mundo is where all hollows live. That's very dangerous for a full strike here and now. Just Aizen, Ikamaru, and Tosen wouldn't be enough for any kind of plan that they have. Speaking of dangerous, Naruto said to himself and Yuruchi before he shut his eyes and pointed in a certain direction, you can come out now. I can sense you there, you're too strong to just hide from me. A low booming noise preceded a person appearing 50 feet away from Naruto and his beautiful Shinigami partner. Sai, I swear to Kami, it's like my eternal curse or something, not that I'm complaining. He said once he got a good look at the person that stood before them. A blonde woman with dark skin, but with a lighter tone than Yuruchi, that had most of her face covered up by her outfit that didn't leave much else to Naruto's imagination, stood in front of them. You can sense my Ryatsu, and yours is quite impressive as well. Both of you, even though the female is better than you at hiding her own. I had to trail you all the way here. Yuruchi crossed her arms over her chest as she looked at the strange woman who seemed to be radiating power that seemed to be that of a hollow. Who are you and what are you? Nothing we've come across so far has been passive towards us, and I'm not expecting you to be either. It's okay, Yuruchi-chan. Naruto said, putting a hand on one of her arms. I can't feel any ill intent from her, at least at the moment. He then focused on the new arrival. I am Uzumaki Naruto. I don't think you've been looking for me just to observe us. I am Tia Harabel. The mysterious woman said, and I actually have been looking for you just to observe you. My mission was to come here and find the cause of the trouble in the forest of Minos from a few days ago. I believe that the new Vasto Lord myself and my associates found not too long ago killing hordes of hollows was the source, but then I felt you. She began to walk forward and came to a stop when Naruto deposited a kunai into his hand from the sleeve of his sage coat and Yuruchi fell into a ready stance. I am not here to fight you. Naruto put his kunai up and Yuruchi got out of her stance as she began to scrutinize her words. Your mission? And who sent you on this mission of yours? Aizen-sama. Harabel said plainly, as there was no need to hide it, and to answer your earlier question, I am an Arankar, a hollow that has removed their mask to obtain powers reminiscent of you Shinigami. Naruto looked at her, tilting his head as if it would give him a better perspective. I didn't know hollows got this good looking. It's like I learn something new every day. Yuruchi rolled her eyes and felt like smacking Naruto one for being stupid. Would you stop ogling the agent of Aizen, please? This is serious. Why? Naruto asked, still getting his eyeful of Harabel. She doesn't want to fight. I don't want to fight. Fighting right now wouldn't do anything for anyone, and since we're not fighting I can admire this thing of beauty. Unless you're jealous. He finished with a grin to Yuruchi. As if. Yuruchi replied rather heatedly, bumping Naruto with her hip, you wouldn't even know what to do with all of this. She ignored Naruto's double take at her to keep speaking to Harabel. So you've found us. What do you plan to do now? Harabel's impassive eyes panned between Yuruchi and Naruto. Nothing. As long as you don't do anything foolish like attack me, I won't do anything. I wasn't ordered to fight. Although I would appreciate it if Uzumaki stopped staring at me. Hold on. Naruto said, keeping up his gawking for a few seconds longer before averting his eyes back up to Harabel's obscured face. Okay, I'm good now. He then became extremely businesslike. Now what are we going to do? I don't want to fight, but you work for Aizen, I can't just let you go. I can't let him tear apart entire dimensions so he can become some twisted version of a god, so if you're important to whatever he's planning. Heiden's appearance was fully human once more, and once more he was completely unclothed. Around his neck was an amulet in the symbol of Jashin that seemed to be comprised of bone. His hollow hole was still in the place of his heart, and in both of his hands were a pair of weapons. In his right hand he held a strange cylindrical instrument, and in his left hand he held a large red scythe with 3 blades on it that was attached to his arm by a black coil that snaked around the limb and held the weapon by the bottom. Haiden looked up from his hole in the ground at Naruto and Yuruchi and started laughing lowly. Yeah, Uzumaki brat, never better. He said as he started climbing out of the hole, do you have any gear on you, or are you all just going to be graced with my fucking full glory for the time being? Naruto rolled his eyes and pulled a scroll from his pocket, unsealing some clothes for Haiden that he threw at the man. I've seen your junk 2 times more than I ever needed to. Get dressed. Haiden put the clothes on and smirked at what Naruto threw him. "Ah, I'm feeling nostalgic again. You kept this stuff?" Haiden was given a set of black pants, black sandals, and a black cloak with red clouds on it. "It's a reminder," Naruto said lowly. "You're an Arrancar now." "How?" Haiden chuckled as he finished putting on his clothing. "I met that Aizen guy. He tried to turn me into one of his punk-ass drones like those 3 bitches that bowed to him when he showed up. But I verbally bitch-slapped that motherfucker and ripped my mask off like those other ones told me I had to, so I could do this just to prove a point. It hurt like hell." A chuckle came from Yoruchi. "I think that today was a major win for the most part. We know you can get to Hueco Mundo now, and Haiden's an Arrancar. If Aizen has the one that we met on his side, and Haiden said that he had 3 more, we need to be prepared for an army of sorts." Haiden licked his lips in anticipation. "I get an entire world full of foolish hollows to tear apart whenever I want, and I get to fight an army later? Okay, I know I picked the right side this time. And I didn't need them. I doubt they knew Jashin-sama anyway, just trying to sucker me in. As if my god would allow someone like that Aizen pussy to tell him what to do." "I tell you what to do," Naruto said, grinning at him with Yoruchi at his side. "No you don't," Haiden said defensively. "When you tell me what to do, they're usually things that I wouldn't hate doing. Everything you've told me to do since the day you busted me out has been fun as hell. Besides, you have like 24 different ways to trap me again if you have to. I can't mess with you too much right now. You're stronger than Leader-sama was back in the day. We've got what we need for now out of this trip." Yoruchi said with a look of satisfaction on her face. "Let's go home. You can make plans as to what to do later, and share this with Yamamoto, but I'm telling you I already know what he's going to do." Naruto nodded and began making hand seals when Haiden stopped him. "Check out what those bitches that told me about hollows and this place told me I could do." Haiden's hand reached out and seemingly grabbed the fabric of the dimension before pulling and ripping it apart, slowly creating an opening. "It's called a Garganta." "Sweet," Naruto said gleefully. "Now I'm not the designated ride when it's time to come back here," he said as he jumped inside. Haiden rubbed his hands together and cackled. "And I don't need to ask Uzumaki Brat for permission to come back here anymore." He then also jumped through. Yoruchi shook her head at the antics of the 2 men that had left. "I can't believe that those 2 are over 2,000 years old." She then followed them through as the Garganta closed on itself. XXX. Harabelle walked at her own reserved pace back towards a massive white fortress in the distance. She felt Haiden's massive release of Ryatsu but didn't bother to go see what had transpired. All it would have done was force her into a meaningless fight with the barbaric hollow. A mistake had possibly been made, but it wouldn't matter much in the end. But what did Uzumaki Naruto mean by Aizen's meaning of sacrifice? She wasn't under strict orders yet. She could probably venture to the human world and question him on what exactly he meant by his words, all of them. He wasn't a Shinigami and he didn't seem outwardly hostile even though he knew what she was and who she worked for. "Uzumaki Naruto, you are a strange being," she thought to herself as she continued to walk along in the desert alone. "Those strange eyes of yours, the odd way you carry yourself despite the obvious power you have. However, your ambition isn't as great as Aizen-sama's. But you believe that you can stop him. There has to be something more to you.